Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world. What I hope you're having an amazing. I hope you're having an amazing Saturday. I can't even get the words out of my mouth. It is. Is that? Are y'all feeling the full moon already? You feeling the full moon tomorrow? The full moon in Leo. Ooh. Um, Remember, well, I talk about your weekly forecast. It really is more. I see it more as like, I mean, it's not an eclipse, right? It's powerful. It's very potent, but we will have an eclipse in Aquarius in 2 weeks from now. And remember, the nodes are leaving Pisces Virgo, moving into the Aquarius-Leo axis this summer. And so we will have the full moon in Aquarius. We will have the, new moon solar eclipse in Leo. And so there is a little bit of that's your gut there. It's just giving you a little bit insight on you and where you are now and where you're going to be, what your life lessons will be when we get to that point. So I talk about it in your weekly or both your weekly and your monthly, right? I do. So it's been very interesting for me. Thank you so much for all your birthday wishes as well. That was really nice. It was the first night I was talking to someone about this. The first night I got 8 hours of sleep. I know it was nice to just in about like 5 months. It was nice. So that was great. That was a great birthday. How are y'all doing? What's going on? There's a lot happening. And so I did say that right, one of my predictions was that just overload. There's going to be information overload. There's going to be a lot happening. Neptune is in Aries, and so you're experiencing that. And even on a collective level, listen, it's part of the big shift. It's part of the Great Reset. It's one of the outer planets, right? The 4 outer planets, part of the Prism portal that's going to really lock in next week. What is it? January 31st? 2 weeks from now, Saturn will move into Aries. And then Uranus moves into Gemini. There's so much Pluto in Aquarius. And so remember, this is just something that's never happened. It's never happened. We've never experienced this. It's pretty significant. And so again, you can go back to what was happening in your life last summer to get an idea of what you can expect this year and beyond. But you're going to feel this prism portal. It's that rare grand trine with Saturn and Neptune, at the apex. And they're sextiling Uranus, they're sextiling Pluto. Uranus is trining Pluto. So there is so much like technology that like just the collective conscious, like everything. It's gotta be big. You're gonna feel this shift. You're already feeling this shift. Yeah. And Neptune right now in Aries, I mean, what are we, 6 days in? What is it? Yeah, about 5, 6. Yeah. So it is that spiritual leader. It is that spiritual warrior. It's when you turn your spirituality into action, right? But there's a lot more to it, and I did a whole video on it. So you're feeling that. You're feeling the full moon in Leo. Yeah. Remember, I said, and do y'all have, if you have any questions for me, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave this open for questions for me because I'm sure there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about on Great Awakener tomorrow. There's probably, I don't know, 10 big news stories that just happened within 24 hours. So we're talking about it tomorrow. I talked about the algorithms here on YouTube. So If you have questions for me, let me know. But I told you that I leave you Easter eggs here on Great Awakener. I can speak a lot more freely. All right. And Nick Dagan Best is joining us, so I'm going to let him do a lot of the Remember, he's been practicing astrology for 30 years, especially history. He knows our history like the back of his hand. We know that Neptune in Aries the last time was 164 years ago, but also the full moon in Leo. We talked about this. It's tomorrow. We're feeling it now. Full moons illuminate. It's in Leo. And I did say, think about what happened for you with a corresponding new moon in Leo. That happened July 25th. So think about what happened around July 25th. Yeah. What happened? What were you doing in your life? What was happening around the world? So that's the thing. This is going to be a little bit more for you, but at the same time, I think that a lot is being disclosed. As I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of things coming to the surface. We still have that 5-planet conjunction that we're coming out of. Yeah. So that was strong. Mars, Pluto, that was strong. And again, in your personal lives, just think about what happened. Like, if you saw your forecast, what that meant for you, think of it as this rocket booster for you. Okay. And we're still going to have 5 planets in Aquarius until February 6th. That's when Mercury moves into Pisces. And then just a few days later, Venus moves into Pisces. And I am working on your next forecast for the week. And so and then we start moving into the conjunctions with the North Node. So you're about to have a lot of big changes, a lot of fated events, right, in your life with Mercury and Venus conjuncting first the North Node. At the same time, Saturn moves into Aries. That'll be February 13th. And remember, Saturn's also karma. So there's just changes that you can expect in your life when you've got Neptune and Aries. You have Saturn and Aries conjunct. You have an eclipse in Aquarius. You got Mercury going retrograde too. And that really is. And that's going to be at the end of February. And so Mercury's going to be in Pisces for some time. All right. Because it'll do a retrograde. And I think it's at 22 degrees. And so when it goes direct, it's still in shadow, but it's still going to be in Pisces. So it's going to be there for a while. Yeah. And remember, Mercury's detriment in Pisces, but there's a lot of advantages of Mercury in Pisces and benefits of Mercury in Pisces, but it's almost like you're finishing something up. Okay. It feels like it's the last of it, of even where you've been the past 2 years, the past 2.5 years, when you had Saturn in Pisces, you had Neptune in Pisces, you had the North Node in Pisces as of February last year. So it's almost been a year. And then Mercury will be in Pisces. I think it's until April. Yeah. And so it's very interesting because by that time, Neptune already in Aries, right? Saturn going to move into Aries, leaving Pisces February 13th. Your life lessons done. You're moving on to your new chapter. North Node leaving Pisces as well. So remember, Mercury gives you this opportunity to go back to the past and to kind of, resolve and reassess and wrap things up. Pisces is the last zodiac. It's the end. Yeah. It's the end. So truly, when I say your lives are changing, like, it's not just like, hey, your life is, this is the end of one big chapter in your life as you move into a whole new chapter. I wouldn't even call it a chapter. It's an era. Remember, it's a brand new era. So buckle up, make things happen. Put your energy out there in terms of what you want in your life, what you want changed in your life. You got big opportunities ahead, big ones. You got a lot of surprises. Uranus is going direct. Yeah. It's as if this full moon kind of wakes, it's like so bright. It's waking up. It's waking up Uranus. And there's, as you know, Uranus is going to be very active this month in February. And we'll go to move into Gemini in April. So it's going to be a very interesting year. And I did tell you that if you saw your annual forecast, I think I repeated this in your January forecast, but the first 6 months of 2026 is bonkersville. It's one thing after the other. I even said, I have no idea how to do your February forecast or your annual forecast. 2026 is a year that it's once in a lifetime. It's once in many lifetimes. Remember, we've never experienced a year like 2026. We had a little glimpse of it, right? Last summer. But we didn't have, but the nodes are changing this year. Jupiter's also changing. It's a year where every planet's changing signs. So buckle up. It's going to be here. And I said the first 6 months, it's applesauce. It's applesauce. But I would say the main thing about what's happening now and what's happening in 2026, you have to trust your intuition. You've got to be true to you. You can't be, please, anything that you read, and I've said this many times, okay? It bears repeating every time. There's got to be a lot of lies, a lot of things that are misleading. We know that 20 to 40% of accounts on like X are bots, right? There's so many bot farms all over, and it's not even speculation. It's data. It's Elon Musk literally saying, I did an audit of Twitter, and you need to tell me if I found out it's 25% bots on Twitter. I don't think I'm going to buy it. You need to figure this out. I mean, come on. Like, it's so a lot of things that you're reading is to get you riled up, is to try to make you pick a side. It's to divide. And remember, that's a big plan of the pickles. Big plan of the pickles. The more that there's distraction, the easier it is a way for them to get what they want. And so just really, I just did an intuition class. I did a whole session on remote viewing, and that was really fun, actually. I think remote viewing is going to be, there's going to be a lot more attention around it. And I even went through the history of remote viewing back to the 1800s. It was really fun because I wanted to research a lot because I'm still so like I still don't know some of the vocabulary for how some of the things that I do. And so I just wanted to see some certain things. And when Project Stargate with the CIA, there's all remote viewing, right? When that was declassified in 1995, everything that these people saw with remote viewers, right? Because the CIA needed them. It was like to spy on Russia, to see this, and oh my gosh, they said they stopped doing it. Like, come on, of course they didn't. So it made me think about a lot of things that, well, two things. They were doing it for 20 years, remote viewing, the CIA, with big names. Yeah. That, yeah, I mean, you can just Google a lot of people that came out after, working with them and the things that they saw. And they could, you get a target and you can find, bases in Russia and whatever. It was used it was weaponized, right? And so 20 years is a long time. From the moment you're born to when you graduate college, they were studying and using remote viewing, okay? That's a long time, okay? 20 years. And you see all these new reports and data coming out in consciousness. And I told you you're going to see a big shift in consciousness. And there's going to be more reports that it's not in the brain, actually, right? We're all connected. It's in the ether. But you have to think about one thing that I wanted to know more is, I think that y'all know one of my sessions when I was remote viewing, someone followed me. It's the first time it's ever happened. And so out of curiosity, I looked at a lot of other, reputable, right? Reliable, like remote viewers who have the same experience many times. So how is that possible? How is that possible, right? There was nothing on record from any of those declassified, reports and in the archives from the CIA about, these remote viewers being followed but it's happening now. So when I say the CIA and the government, they have technology and they know this better than anybody else on this planet. You never know. How are they able to do that? Not just being followed, but kicked out. And so it's just very interesting. It's very wild. But that's the other thing. It's like I said that there's going to be some things this year that like your brain can't even wrap around. Yeah. It's just, whoa, there's so much happening. And I think that one of the things that is happening right now is Neptune and Aries. And once Uranus moves into Gemini, I think that's like the big moment where everyone is, well, it's more part of the Prism portal with Neptune conjunct Aries, Saturn and Aries, connecting with Uranus, connecting with Pluto. But I think that everyone's just going to be a little bit more telepathic. Everyone's just going to be a lot more just aware, a lot more. I mean, there's going to be this frequency rise with the collective conscious, with the collective. I think there's also words for that too. I couldn't even think of them earlier. It's like predictive programming and things like that. Like we're all connected. We truly are. I think that's going to be something that we're going to recognize a lot more through the next few years with the Prism portal. So yeah. So it's just very interesting to think about because I feel like it already happens. It already happens. I feel like that we're all energy and we can feel each other's energies. And so continue to vibrate at that high frequency. Okay. And always know what's best for you. And truly for you. Yeah. Because when we move into the next few years, sure, there's going to be some changes. As I said, as I pointed out, there's going to be a lot of changes. Okay. We're literally moving into a brand new world. But you, on an individual basis, you have the power to create your reality. Okay. You can live in whatever world that you want to build for yourself. You're going to have to, the world adapts, the world changes. Where I think just what, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, we didn't have Snapchat. They didn't have internet. They didn't have any of that. So we evolve. Yeah. We evolve. And so it's adapting to these changes, not fight. That's why I keep saying, don't fight them, don't resist them. How can you continue to vibrate at a high frequency and create the reality that you want? It's very possible. And it starts with self-love. It starts with self-belief. If you get anything to bring you into lower energy frequencies, it's harder. It's harder to manifest. It's harder to, attract the things that you want. So always know that that comes first. All right. No doom scrolling. Okay. Oh my gosh. Remember, I told you time's speeding up too. Yeah, that's a fact. Science. It has to do, there's a lot of, it has to do with like the movement of our solar system, and that's a lot of math, but yeah. So have those moments where time just disappears because you're having so much fun, right? The time just flies by because you're doing what you love. You're going to make an impact. Why you were put on this planet. That, okay? So there's got to be movement and changes. And we've talked about the cycles, the astrological cycles and the patterns, but it's not just that. It's historical, it's geophysical. Even eventually, I'm sure we're going to pick up the metaphysical, right? Patterns. So it's just preparing. Everything's preparing you to be this spiritual warrior, to have a lot more self-belief and move in that direction that you're meant to move into. And by the way, what is it? I gotta pull up the calendar. Well, actually, I can pull up the chart. Yeah. Jupiter's coming into the mix. It's just there's a lot happening. All right. So Nick's going to come on very soon, and then we're going to hop on Great Awakener after, where we speak a lot more freely. Marshall, you said the weather extreme is outrageous. We have snow, ice all over. Do you see this continuing? Yes, remember that was one of my predictions, Marshall, for 2026 is not only extreme weather, but unusual. Yeah. And you're seeing that happen already in the past, I'd say, week. And that's not just me either. That's any meteorologist. And they'll say, what is going on? This is not normal. This whole thing with, right? And so yeah, the we're moving into a brand new era. And so, but and what I mean by that is that like the weather changes. I've talked about our magnetosphere. There will be, I feel it's going to be more apparent that there is, how we can manipulate weather. And I think that's going to be more obvious because I feel like there's so much proof and data out there, right? Patents, hundreds of patents, uh, even video evidence and whatnot. But it's so hard for our brains to accept it because for so long we're trying to not feel betrayed, right? But then also, secondly, our brains just tend to, reject the unfamiliar. That's the first reaction. And so, but yes, and it's freezing. It was 9 degrees every day this week when I took out Ruby. Even her like big coat didn't work. She's like, nope, no. But it was more me too. It was like, it was, yeah. If you weren't wearing gloves, then it was like frostbite. Hello. Um, Rebecca, you said July ended horribly. So does this mean I'm releasing everything involved with this full moon? Your Leo rising. Yes. Yes. Remember, it's all about release. It's all about release. Have your moments because remember, Chiron's about to be very activated. And it's a great time. There's sextiles though. It's not like a square or even with like hard planets that's forcing you to, or like bringing up things like when you're not ready to. These are good. It's perfect. The timing's really great. And so yeah, it's all about release. It's all about release and having clarity and really just thinking about what you want to let go for this new you. Remember, it's from the get-go. February's a month like no other. There's just a lot of big events that are going to happen, big aspects are about to happen. So it's really like moving into it, feeling very confident and using the aspects. Remember, I said you can always use the aspects. It's up to you. It's up to you because the aspects are going to happen no matter what, right? But they have different expressions. And so you can move into any aspect and use it and make it your best friend. Make it your best friend. So yeah, it's a really great time to release. And despite the cold, I would if you live in a place where you're not part of the cold weather, I would do it out of nature. Yeah. I would, in this, situation, do it around like, a warm campfire, right? It's in Leo, fire sign. But even still, I always say, speak to the moon. Speak to the moon. And that's just the smallest thing that you can do is because that's intention, right? You're speaking words into the ether. You're creating it, right? You're putting that energy out there. It's the smallest thing you can do. It takes 10 seconds. You can do it in the comfort of your home. Look out your window, speak, put words into the ether. Yeah. But yeah. And you're also Pisces. No, you're going to your nodal return. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a big, big, year of life lessons for you on you as a person, on your identity, the role that you play, all of that. Meg, thank you, Jimmy, for everything you do. I appreciate you and your content. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for listening and for being here. It really is just I really want you to know how powerful of a month it is that we're moving into. So remember, you're, again, everything's energy. You create your own reality. This is your world. You live in, you create your world. Okay? That's very possible. Very possible. Um, Don, you asked, are you saying that while you were remote viewing, that someone else was also remote viewing and following you around in the viewing and following you around in the physical? Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. No, while I was remote viewing. So, because with remote viewing, you usually, you get a target and you think about, and then you remote view, right? Um, I, so it's very, so in the class that I did, I distinguish it from like psychic visions and channeling. There's so many different remote viewing is very different, but yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that it's in the remote viewing. So um it's never happened to me before, but it just happened. I think it was last year was when it happened. Where someone in my remote view was there following me, watching on me. Like, it was very obvious, like, making sure that I was, and they were curious why they were there, why I was there. And so I never had experienced that. And so I had to go to other remote viewers, like reputable ones, and look and see if it ever happened to them. And yes, it's happened. But when you look at the data, when you look at the research that was done, all those declassified documents from the CIA, and they're all there. Okay. So this is all fact and data with all the remote viewers that they worked with. There's no report of that happening with okay, any of them. So that's what I'm saying. Think about 1995 till now. The CIA is still doing all that research, advancing the research, and being able to, do that. It's just what? No. And so they, again, remember, they have a lot of technology. They have more they can do, they have a lot more knowledge on things, including consciousness, including, uh, contact, everything. I mean, they have everything. They have everything. So yeah, I'm sure they developed some way to, I mean, it's parapsychology, but it's also like telekinesis. There's so many components to it, but that's why I did the, thing. But yeah, it's the same way that the brain has been studied forever. It's the way that, psychology studied forever. And there's new things, new concepts, new ideas, new breakthroughs all the time that we know of. But there's the saying that happens that we don't know of. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Is like, why was none of this reported? Maybe they didn't have the knowledge at that time. Remember, it was being used by the CIA. It was being used to be, it was weaponized, right? Remote viewing was just used to spy on like countries and et cetera, et cetera. So I think that that's what I'm saying, is like in 30 years, you can use remote viewers and do studies and whatnot to be able to do that. I know, it's very interesting. Um, oh, Marshall, you asked what's with the snow. Everyone's buried in snow. There's so much snow. Um, it's yeah, there is a lot. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But it's, again, it is it's got to be a year where there's going to be, I think that I mentioned a lot of what we know. There's got to be a lot of paradigm shifts. There's, a lot of disclosure, which you're already seeing. I already mentioned that, last year in 2025, there were more documentaries regarding disclosure than any other time in history. Like, it's, people are ready. People are ready. There's, last year was the year of the whistleblower, right? It's going to be the same thing this year. And so I think that this is going to help elevate consciousness and help us understand that some things have been hidden from us. And, there's a lot of different areas that could fall under. Okay. And some, I think, after last week, we saw that hiding doesn't. Remember what I said in your February, in your forecast about this full moon? You just can't hide under this full moon. Well, it is basically the same as 2026. Like, no one can hide anymore because there's so many whistleblowers, but there's so many people who are actually actively discovering things that are like people like, remote viewers or me, and like discovering the truth. And it comes out in so many other different ways. The truth is what sets you free. The truth is the truth, right? And so it's a matter of you trusting what is the truth, what's true to you, because some things that you're being told, obviously not true, right? But I think we've gotten to a point where a lot of, leaders just don't care anymore. They're like, what's the point? What's the point of hiding anything? We have the power. We have the power. There's nothing it's like, yeah, we're going to do digital IDs. We're going to put everybody on, what's it called? Stable coin and cryptocurrency, because, yeah, we want to monitor what you buy too. We're going to put satellites in the sky all over Earth. Actually, we're going to throw 15,000 more satellites up there because, hey, we have the most power. We can't do anything. Like, they don't care anymore. It's just, I don't think that anyone in the 99% has ever said, digital ID, great, sign me up. I can't wait. But there you go. So it is a funny time. It's a very interesting time. I gotta check my email. I don't know where Nick is. Let me see something here. Okay, there he is. Never mind. Anyway, he's running late. Okay. Marshall is your remote viewing. Yes, it is on Great Awakener. And another slide deck. But I really researched this one because a lot of it was out of curiosity for me too. But like, I wanted to know the background and I wanted to see how far it went. Again, it goes back to the 1800s when it was like a thing, but it definitely goes further back. I mean, you think of like the Oracle of Delphi but anyway, yes. And I did a 22-page slide deck. I needed to know some things. Hornsby, you're an empath, but you don't know how to use it. I feel everything coming, but not sure how to make sense of anything I feel. Yeah, it really is. And I talked about this just an hour ago. It is just the mind, stilling the mind. And if it's hard to do that, it's finding ways to do it like in baby steps and being comfortable, because I know that it's a lot of the subconscious can come up, and that's why meditation is really great, because if you're meditating and you have this blank slate, like the things that need to come up will come up. But in terms of wanting to see things and whatnot, like it really takes a lot of practice. And so I would recommend using crystals really help. Yeah. So, and even like hemisync, but either way, Nick has entered the building. And so, yeah, who's excited to hear about February from Nick? Nick, it is so great to see you. It's been a month.
It has. Slow news month. Not much has changed since the last time we spoke. Same old, same old. No point in doing horoscopes. We may as well just repeat 2025s because nothing's changed whatsoever. All seriousness, though, holy moly. Welcome to the new world.
Welcome to the new world. Yeah, we were just talking about that and just reminding everybody we're moving into a brand new era. We're all, you're going to put on your spiritual warrior armor with Neptune already in Aries, Saturn in 2 weeks, and really just navigating these changes because, there's like 6, 7, 8 big things that just happen within 24 hours. And listen, I'm going to let you take the floor. I will let you take the floor and just let everybody know. Again, this is where we just talk about, or Nick will talk about the world astrology, mundane astrology, but just world astrology in terms of the aspects and everything that's happening. And as we know, Nick is just this encyclopedia. Like, Nick, take it away.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, there's a lot on the table right now. It's kind of amazing, trying to figure out where to start and where to, what I need to leave out in order just to make this compact enough. Long story short, right now we've got a stellium of 5 planets in Aquarius. Neptune has moved into Aries and Saturn is following along. It'll enter Aries soon enough. And then the big conjunction finally of Saturn and Neptune on the 20th. All these planets that are in Aquarius right now, we don't get these stelliums in Aquarius very often. The last time there were this many planets in Aquarius was in February of 1962. And Jackie Kennedy, the first lady of the USA, had a NBC special broadcast TV hour where she got to show a live interviewer the recent remodeling and renovation. I think it wasn't renovation sense of knocking down walls, I don't think, but the redecorating of the White House that she had just done. So we had the first lady of the US having a big media event, and the White House was going through a bit of a makeover. So we may as well be giving 1962's horoscope readings because nothing much has changed. So there's that happening. The other thing is 2 of the planets in Aquarius right now are, of course, the Sun and Mars. Now, the Sun and Mars are rarely together in Aquarius. The conjunctions that they make in Capricorn or Aquarius only come around every 32 to 47 years. And one of the last times, the only 2 times I can think of that the Sun and Mars were this close together in Aquarius in the last half century were in 1979, when the Shah left Iran and the Ayatollah Khomeini came in and the new regime started in Iran. And then the other time was 32 years after that, 15 years ago, in 2011, when the Arab Spring happened. When the Sun and Mars are together in a sign, leaders are, overthrown or driven out or what have you. Not discounting what happened to Maduro, which is a bit more sort of, taken away. But I think there's still more of that kind of thing to come. And this is part of the new age. The other thing is Saturn-Neptune conjunctions, also very common in Iranian and Persian history, going back quite a way. And of course, one of the last times Sun-Mars were conjunct, there were big changes there. So that's certainly one area of the world. And, I really hope, the best for those people as things are turning around so quickly. Saturn-Neptune conjunction is very much about clarity, about seeing the truth. I think everyone has had a sense that big changes were afoot, but what to do? Do we get ahead of the problem? Do we wait and see what's happening? All these sorts of questions have been on a lot of people's minds for the past year or more. And the good news is, for better, for worse, it's less that, 2026, especially once we get to that Saturn-Neptune conjunction, it's less about wondering what's going to happen, more about understanding full well where we stand, what's real, what isn't real, and what needs to be done in order to get ourselves on the right track. So the best thing is we have the clarity, the cold hard truth, which in itself is revolutionary and can be inspiring. But it becomes very hard to believe in something that isn't true at this point in time. It becomes very difficult to maintain an illusion, whether ones that have been, in which we've been deceived by others, or ones where we've been deceiving ourselves, or if it's simply a matter of there's been no deceit, we just haven't totally clued into the truth, even if it's been in front of our face the whole time. So it's really a matter of getting it, of just having this epiphany, this awakening, and going from being uncertain, confused, maybe even fearful enough because the unknown is can be sinister, to understanding full well just how much fear is or is not required or appropriate, understanding just how much action or inaction is appropriate. All these things, everything sort of levels out to a level that we know where to go next, and we needn't be any further confused.
And do you want to talk about the eclipse that we?
Oh, well, yeah. What the South Node is still in Pisces. The South Node is still in Virgo, rather. The North Node is in Pisces. Although the eclipse we're having a lunar eclipse where the moon is in Leo and the sun is in Aquarius. They're close enough to the lunar nodes that it spans those two signs. So Leos and Virgos, whether it's good or bad, things are sort of beyond your control, generally speaking. Excuse me. Life is more about how you respond or react to what's happening around you, rather than having an objective that you're going to follow through on regardless of what's happening around you. Aquarians and Pisces, conversely, nothing happens if you don't make it happen. So it's very much a matter of taking the bull by the horn and being very proactive, trying to get ahead of where you are, trying to get ahead of the problem rather than let it roll you over. Leos and Virgos, better to observe and wait until you can move with confidence, until you move not out of like blindness or fear or the feeling that you should do something, but moving only because you fully know what you're doing, what the consequences will be, and that it's your preferred option out of any choice you have. Amongst the other signs, it can depend on the overall makeup of your chart. Some of you, it's a matter of waiting and observing. Others, it's a matter of getting ahead of things before they spin out of control. Oh, sorry. Did you say something, Jimmy?
Yeah, I was going to say back to, and that was amazing, but back to what you were saying earlier about, Neptune and Saturn, the conjuncting. It's so interesting because you said that's the moment, but then Mercury goes retrograde a few days after that. And then just like, for a while. Is there anything that you want to add to? Because I talked briefly about that earlier.
Yeah. I mean, the Mercury retrograde in Pisces refers back to the last Mercury retrograde, which was in Sagittarius. So it's a second Mercury retrograde in a Jupiter-ruled sign in a few months, and because the Mercury retrograde falls in the middle of eclipse season and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, the Mercury retrograde that's coming up, I think, is very much a course-correcting Mercury. Which is where Mercury retrograde is always at its most helpful. Mercury retrograde is really only a problem if you're trying to get from point A to point B in a straight line. If that's what you need to have happen, it ain't gonna happen. If you can if you can take detours, if you can do redos, anything of that nature, rethink things, write a second draft of whatever that first draft that you want to say or present. Take time to course correct, to improve, to go over whatever mistakes or oversights may have occurred. The sooner the better. Once the clarity comes, then you have to act. And that's the other thing, is the Mercury retrogrades in Pisces with the North Node. So it is very much like a proactive one. It's about like, in order to meet my objective, I need to either do this over or rethink it entirely or what have you. Moving forward with blind confidence will bite you in the butt.
And I know we have a couple minutes before we hop on Great Awakener. Is there anything that you want to say about how people can take advantage of using the full moon tomorrow, the full moon in Leo?
Yeah. Look, it's a matter of, the full moon in Leo is always about sort of dignity and authority. Can you be the gracious monarch, or can you be the person who stands up to the ingracious monarch? That's really it. Like, if you're in the position of power, can you be the good version of that? Can you be kind and considerate and magnanimous, and not sort of selfish and self-serving? If you're on the bottom end, if someone's boot is on your neck, it's the time to turn that around. And in situations where one is being denied one's dignity or basic respect, it's a matter of asserting one's any person's right to have that basic respect accorded to them. So that's the thing. The Leo moon is the who the F are you moon. It's how dare you? You don't speak to me like that. That's what the Leo moon is all about. If it's the time, and you probably know, if you're in one of those situations, then you probably already feel that. It's probably already a part of what is bubbling under.
And I'm glad that you said that too, because it is one of those full moons where you have so much power to just restore your confidence. It's all about just letting that shine and letting it, letting you radiate. And I see that, Rebecca, you wrote reclaiming I can't say that word, for the sovereignty. Well, how do you say that? Sovereignty. Yeah. It's really, I woke up really early this morning. So anyway, yeah. So I think that everyone, again, take advantage of this full moon and use it. Reclaim your sovereignty.
Sovereignty.
And don't forget that Nick does private readings. He is amazing. And what a time to get a private reading, because you're moving into a brand new era. You're moving into this brand new you. And so you can find him. His all his information, there it is, in the description box as well. Nick, really great having you. Is there any last thing that I love, Marshall, your comment? any last comment that anything that you want to leave for everybody as we move into this loaded month? Remember, y'all, this is the February. This is the February. Any parting words of wisdom?
What I would say is read the room. You know, forget what you think you know. Look around you and figure out the truth. At a fresh level. It's all up for review.
I love it. I'm glad that you said that. That was literally the first 30 minutes of me, like everything that I said. So, Nick, so great to have you. And a lot of y'all will see you over at Great Awakener, where again we can speak a lot more freely. And that's it. Nick, thank you so much for being here as always. And then again, everybody, listen, take advantage of this full moon. Really have the moment. Use it. Like I said, speak to it. Put words in the ether, right? Just have your moment of release. Let things come up subconsciously. Use it. Use it to empower you. Restore that sovereignty. All right, y'all. Thanks so much. Have an amazing full moon and Leo weekend. And I will see you very soon. All right. Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you, Jimmy.